Hey guys, it's Austin back with the first inflatable review on the Reverb for the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at an inflatable that I really don't think people have really been talking much about, and I think there are a few different reasons for it. The inflatable in today's video that we're going to open and unbox is going to be the 20-foot tall Airflowz Frankenstein. Well, the thing is, not many people may know this. This has been kind of flying under the radar, but I kind of caught this back whenever the at-home lineup had dropped, and as well as when some of the major retailers had started first announcing their inflatables for the 2023 year. But apparently, Airflowz had also released another iteration of the Frankenstein. This iteration has like a slightly different color palette. I think its face and its hands are a little bit more green than like the at-home rendition, and then plus I know, like I said, this one it's kind of odd because this is my first ever Airflowz inflatable that I've ever bought. Of course, something I'm also going to get into here in a little bit, and I probably am going to post on this channel eventually. Is I did do a 4th of July display this year, a 4th of July display this year, and what happened was I know Airflowz they released the 12-foot tall Uncle Sam and then the 20-foot Uncle Sam. I happened to acquire both of these inflatables, and at first I originally was going to get the 20-foot Uncle Sam, but then I kind of passed on it because I then figured out it had two big cheap fans on it. But the more I saw it in people's videos, the more I kind of got intrigued to buy it. So after I got the 12-foot one, when I originally wasn't going to get the 20-foot one, I ended up picking up the 20-footer of the Uncle Sam, and it turned out to be a really good inflatable because, believe it or not, even if Airflowz does come with like cheap fans, these cheap fans do kind of do a pretty good job inflating these things. Because I mean, that Uncle Sam, it inflated like it just about wanted to explode whenever I got it out of the box and such. And I mean, it's been a solid addition, and then it also happens to have some LED lights, which are also a little bit different compared to like the typical run-of-the-mill Jimmys. Although I have heard in the recent weeks from many YouTubers that are getting these new Jimmys that they are also kind of shifting their gears towards doing more like LED C7s than like the normal C7s. But I think it goes a lot like into the government and some political movement that I've heard some people talk about, that apparently fluorescent bulbs are something that cannot really be purchased in a store now. Otherwise, it could be a lawsuit or a fine to whoever provides products with non-LED bulbs and such. But this is not a political channel. I just want to talk about decorations. But anyway, back to the story on the Frankenstein. As you all know, At Home released a concept that has one it's a little different. I mean, it's got like a gray top coat on it with some white buttons, and also a what I like to call like about a kind of like a mid gray like suit or shirt, and then it's got like full on gray pants, which it goes down and it makes up at least about, I'd say, the entire like maybe last 10, 11 feet of the other half of the inflatable. I think you can kind of split this inflatable down like two ways. Like one part's like the upper body with his hands reached out with the Frankenstein's face, and then the bottom is more of his pants and just the motors and the base. But anyway, let me quit jabbering on. You'll see it more in the review, but let's get it open. As you'll notice, and I also mentioned this in my YouTube video return, this is an online exclusive Airflowz box, and apparently they must not put much detail into their actual boxes that come from online purchases only. However, what was weird is, if you all remember back to 2022, they also released the 20-foot tall Mummy last year, and it actually had the Airflowz detail on the side of the box. And apparently this year you can also find that Mummy on some of the similar sites, so you can actually find this guy. I think I mentioned back in the other video that you can get him on Home Depot, and I got mine off of Bed Bath & Beyond / Overstock.com, because apparently they must have overstocked him like at certain retailers. But they're doing like a really good deal on this guy right now, so I'd probably say if you're going to pick this guy up, go to Overstock and Bed Bath & Beyond and pick this guy up before he runs out, because last I saw, I think it was down to about $165 starting out before shipping and fees are applied, and even the shipping ain't even like egregious on this. Like, I mean, if you looked at like the at-home listing for their version of this, their shipping and their tax is egregiously too high, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I'm talking like you'll turn like a $200 inflatable into about a $300 inflatable, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry to diss At Home, but At Home, you guys have some really, you guys need to work out some of your shipping and some of your like fulfillment, because it is way too high, in my opinion. Just Come on now. I mean, like, and I mean, I even ordered the Uncle Sam online because my at home ran out of my Uncle Sam, so I had to wait till it went on half off to where the tax wouldn't be egregiously high. But enough yammering. Let me get to the inflatable. So anyway, it will come in this brown box, but I did actually notice, just as a point of note, the box that Bed Bath & Beyond shipped it in, it actually does say the Airflowz 20-foot tall monster, which, I mean, I'm kind of surprised they actually did not put the graphics on this box instead of this box that it was shipped in. But anyway, like I said, that's just a minor nitpick. It does actually tell, like, what it comes with on the side right here. It talks about, like, see here, he wanted to pause the video and read the side of the box. Let me flip it up because I don't think you can really see it, but it actually does show like what does come in the box with the inflatable. Like I said, if you want to, you know, pause the video and go and read this, you can. You're more than welcome to. Also shows like its distributor and where it's made, and it's made by Occasions, which is the people that own Airflowz. So that's where it all came from. But anyway, let's get to the unboxing. So when you open the box, you're gonna see that it's a pretty big clump of fabric, and this is like it's gonna be a 20-foot tall inflatable. But let me open it up now. Have to kind of find a way to prop the camera up while I take the clump out of the box. Probably just drop my phone. Let's see here. But yeah, this is a huge inflatable, and I really dread getting this back in the box. So I already have a time getting the Jimmy ones back in the box as it is. But yeah, that's one way to open an inflatable. But anyway, here are your colossal stakes and your tethers. And then this big massive clump is the inflatable. Let's see here, get them a little unfolded. And like I said, the biggest note difference I think you're going to find with this guy is that he does have like a purple top coat and some orange trims that I do like a little bit better because it's got a bit more Halloween-esque colors than like the at-home version, even though the at-home one I think has a bit more of an official like Frankenstein's monster look. But that's what he will look like when we eventually get him out in the yard to get him inflated. And then it does also come with your set of directions for Airflowz. I don't think it shows like a photo of the inflatable on here, but not that it really needs to be shown. But like I said, those are no really any point to any of us because we are aficionados and we know how to do this. So most people will not need to read those because, I mean, if you're a seasoned veteran like me or anybody else, I mean, you ought to know how to assemble one of these. But anyway, let's cut to the actual assembly and the inflation. Okay, guys, I'm back currently, and I've got him out here, and I've got him unpacked on the ground, and I've got his stakes, his tethers on the lower part of his body because this thing will take a while to blow up because, unfortunately, like I said in the previous part of the review, it does have two massive cheap fans on its back. So I've heard that Airflowz can kind of take a good while to inflate. I mean, obviously, with my Uncle Sam, it took me about 7 or 8 minutes to get him up, which is longer than like your typical Jimmy Colossal base fan, which I do have 3 of those that are going to be in my Halloween display this year too. Spoiler, I got the 18-foot noseless Vampire Jack last year, and I also got one of my other rare ones, the 16-foot Gothic Reaper from Lowe's back in 2016, even though it ain't as rare as the 2013 version. And then I've also got the at-home 20-foot tall pumpkin stack in store because it was one of the last colossals that my store had in stock. But anyway, let's get back to the review. I'm going to plug him up, and I'm probably going to cut out during the inflation, but I do want to show you what the initial like he looks like when he first turns on. But anyway, let's get the adapter block plugged in, and I'll get him started inflating. But then I'll probably have to put his stakes in the ground and get them all set up for the rest of the review. Let's see here. Okay, he just came on. So see here, he does have LEDs, so hopefully it should burn very, very bright since it's brand new out of the box. And you can already start to see like that different in the greenness on its fabric. That's another reason I like this one better because it looks a bit more green like a monster than like personally like the at-home iteration did. It kind of looked like it had a bit of like a Mountain Dew colored green to it, and I just didn't really like that shade of green. It just, me personally, but I'll get into more of his features in the next part of the review. So I'll get this guy inflated and we'll be back in just 1 second. Here he is all up and inflated, and I gotta tell you guys, this thing is massive. I mean, it's kind of in a bad spot in my yard because I have like a little bit of a miniature like fall Tennessee football display up right now, but this is what he looks like from the distance. Like I said, ignore the smoky and the other stuff on the wall behind me in the background, but this guy is bloody massive. I mean, like, this, It's hard to believe that him and the Uncle Sam are the exact same height. I mean, automatically you can tell like he has got a few minor differences from like the at-home iteration of this inflatable. He's got the solid gray pants are the same, and he's got like the black boots at the bottom, but he's also got a bit of a darker green shade for his face and his hands. And the part that I probably love the most is that he's got a purple coat with some orange trimming for the shirt and the buttons on the coat. Also very similar in the style of how the Uncle Sam has his white buttons on his white coat with like the red pants. But I gotta say, definitely not disappointed in this purchase. And if I were you guys, I'd actually grab this one over the at-home version if you've not got them, or heck, even get both of the versions in my opinion. Because I mean, these things are really, really cool. I mean, they're not Jimmy, but by God, they are quality in my opinion. But back up a little bit further and show you just from the perspective of how far from my house and such he looks, how tall he looks. But yeah, like I said, this is kind of a bad angle because I've got a big massive tree over here in my yard, and he's kind of in the middle of the yard where I had a open prong on my inflatables. But this is what he looks like against my house. Kind of hard to see the house at night, but let me give you a little bit of a perspective of the house. But like over there's my house with like the freaking like projectors on the wall and everything. This guy is like probably beats my roof by like 3 to 4 feet if I had to say, honest to goodness. And this thing just and just overall width is massive. I mean, it's just a huge inflatable. I mean, as soon as I got the Uncle Sam, I was like, I'm definitely getting this Frankenstein. The only thing I kind of think that's not as good with like the darker green tones, it does look like his eyes and his mouth may not be as pronounced as like the at-home iteration, because I think that maybe the neon green, like where he has like white teeth and white and like wider eyes, I think maybe that might make him a little bit more visible in terms of just his face. But I could also probably just shine a big old green kaleidoscope on him, because I'm going to probably put him next to my witches in my display this year, because I have 2 witch inflatables that are also going to have kaleidoscopes on them, even though like one of them don't really need it because it's brand new out of the box. But I do like putting green just on green inflatables. But I swear this guy is massive. I mean, this is what he looks like on the lower part of his body. As you'll see right here, he's also got 2 stakes over here on the lower part of his pants, which is also accustomed to also the colossals that Airflowz has created. And he also has a tether point up at the very near top under his armpits. And then he also has, I believe, one up here on the back of his shirt as well, up there at the very top underneath his neck. But I mean, just look at this guy from the back as well. I mean, it's just looking up at him from my tree. I mean, video does not do this guy justice. This guy is, by definition, a freaking colossal. I mean, it is huge. Airflowz, I'm glad that they are doing some good colossal designs, because I do not have a single Frankenstein in my display, and that was one of my biggest gaps in my designs. But now I do, and boy, oh boy, does he come in the biggest of packages. There are those 2. I think they're more like medium-sized cheap fans is what they look like. I don't think they're like smaller, because I mean, obviously, that you need about as much as you can get to inflate this guy, because he's just so huge. And then down here on the bottom, you have some tie-down points in the back. And then I believe you also have 2 on the front shoes, like I said, if I'm comparing him to the Uncle Sam, also from Airflowz. But it looks like there are a tie down here and then a tie down here on the front. So that's basically all the tie down points on him. So like I said, I will give you guys another zoomed out view, but this guy is massive. I can't decide where I want to put him with my colossals or if I want to put him with the witches. Right now I'm kind of leaning, I might put him next to the witches just due to like his color palette and his design. It's just like so massive, and I mean, he's hard to miss. I'll give you that. I mean, it is just absolutely enormous. I mean, also inserted like a daytime clip in the video as well, because I did try to wait to do this at night because I thought he might shine a little bit more at night, but obviously I didn't realize that his eyes and his like teeth are going to be a little less pronounced with like the yellowing instead of like the white. However, that is one thing I do like about it, is it does have yellow teeth and yellow eyes. So it looks a bit more like a monster than just like, you know, a normal human being, just like Frankenstein. But overall, he looks pretty good. Okay, so I know this is kind of like, you know, a little controversial and stereotypical. Rob from Making Spirits Prized, I hope you don't judge me for doing this, but I am going to give it a rating, not a Rob rating, but a rating. But anyway, let's get to the rating scale. In terms of like quality, I'd say this is pretty darn good quality. I mean, the fabric is really, really good. I think the fans may not inflate it as tightly as what like a YEF 80 or a 125 on a Colossal would do. Let me give it a little bit of a bump over here. It's not like ready to explode inflation. It is a little bit weaker, I think, than my 20-foot Uncle Sam, but it is pretty good still for a Colossal. I mean, you can't really get much better when you got cheap fans on an inflatable design. I think that's about, you need to expect that it's not going to be as strong as a base fan. So quality wise, I'd probably give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10, because like I said, obviously it ain't going to be on the same scale as like a base fan's going to inflate it, but I do think for what it is, it does inflate pretty well. Value, this guy, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm gonna, like I said, go back to referencing Rob's scale, but in terms of value, it's just got like such a wide range, because this is basically a sister model to like the at-home version. And if I were going off of at-home's value, $200 seems about just, even though I think it is a little pricey, and I think some people might have some price barriers that may set them back on getting this guy. Where I got him from, I believe you factor in shipping and tax, I think overall he was about like $172. So honestly, for that rate, I wouldn't say he's too bad. Plus, if you can get like a discount on like At Home or Bed Bath & Beyond, and I think Home Depot might have a discount for your like first purchase as well, so you might be able to snag a few bucks off like that. And I ended up knocking it down from like 180 some with like the tax to like down to like 172 where I got him. So I'd probably, in terms of value, just if you're going by like what I got him for on Overstock, I'd probably say he's about a 9 out of 10 in value if I had to say. So I think that's pretty solid value, at least because you're getting a 20-foot tall inflatable. You're getting pretty bright LEDs. I don't know how long these will burn, because I've just had like free Airflowz designs, two of which I've already bought this year prior to the Frankenstein. So this could potentially drop down in terms of the value, but right now I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10 in value, because I think you're getting a pretty good package for a 20-foot inflatable and LED lights. They're very bright, and you'll be able to see most of what you need to see. And I think the eyes and the mouth, if you put them around other light effects, I think it'll look pretty good. And in terms of wow factor, I mean, it's a 20-foot tall inflatable. I mean, everybody's gonna be able to notice it. I mean, he's gonna be probably the one in the display if you get a 20-foot inflatable. I mean, any design period, I would say that this is gonna get a lot of attention from people driving by down your neighborhood. I mean, especially with my display this year, I'm hoping that this, along with my other free Colossal designs, will get a lot of attention. And I think that this thing, in terms of wow factor, is easily a 10 out of 10. You can't get much more wow factor unless you get like an animated one with some special light effects like short circuit or kaleidoscope. I think I did skip over design. And this is something I know a lot of people have been a little controversial about with just this Frankenstein model in general, because it does have the same facial features, even though the color design's a little different compared to the at-home one. Yes, it is kind of like family-friendly, kid-friendly, whatever you want to coin it as, but in my opinion, it is pretty cool. I mean, there ain't many Frankenstein designs as what they used to make. I don't even think Jimmy makes as many as what they did at one point in time, but for Frankenstein, this is, I think, a pretty good rendition of Frankenstein, especially from the fact that you've got like green, like scaly skin, and then you've also got like a purple and orange iteration on his jacket, which I personally, from my perspective, I like it a little bit better than the at-home design. So I would say, in terms of design, I think that Airflowz did a really, really good job on this. If I were giving it a score, I would probably give it maybe a 8.5 out of 10, just because it is a run-of-the-mill Frankenstein. And I mean, there are inflatable models out there, even though there aren't as many new ones that are Frankenstein. But I mean, in terms of like design, I mean, I like it pretty good for a Colossal. So add all that up, a 7.5, an 8.5, and a 9.5, and a 10. I think, let me do some quick math in my head. That gives it about a 35 on the rating. So I think overall, definitely make this a point to get one of these Colossal Frankensteins. Personally, I would rather get this one because of the color trim on its coat, and plus I think the green's a little bit better in my opinion, because I don't really like the lime green color that the at-home iteration comes in. But I mean, you get whatever you think is best for your display, but I'd pick this one. So thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next review.